As I read the following paragraph, think about how each sentence is structured. Does the writing flow easily from one idea to the next? To protect your skin from sun damage, you should always wear sunscreen. Reapply it throughout the day. You might spend a lot of time in the sun. Wear a hat. Use an umbrella. These precautions will protect you from sunburns. They will prevent long-term skin damage. You probably noticed that this paragraph seems choppy because the related ideas aren't connected. Now, consider this revised version. To protect your skin from sun damage, you should always wear sunscreen and reapply it throughout the day. If you spend a lot of time in the sun, wear a hat or use an umbrella. These precautions will not only protect you from sunburns, but they will also prevent long-term skin damage. The revised example uses conjunctions to combine related ideas, words, and to create new sentence structures. These can follow one of four sentence patterns: simple, compound, complex, or compound complex. In this lesson, you'll learn about the formation of these sentence structures with the following components: related words and clauses, coordinating conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions, correlative conjunctions, and conjunctive adverbs. A simple sentence includes the following: a subject, a predicate, and it's a complete thought. Here are some examples. The subject will be in red and the predicate will be underlined. The tenants washed the beach towels. Dr. Smith reviews the patient files. It was delivered yesterday. The tenants washed and folded the beach towels. Notice that to strengthen writing, simple sentences can be expanded with additional combined related words, as is seen in the last one I read. Here's another. Dr. Smith and his assistant review the patient files, and it was delivered today or yesterday. When you want to emphasize bigger ideas, the simple sentence pattern might not quite do the trick. You can create compound and complex sentences by combining clauses. A clause is a word group containing a subject and a verb. There are two types: dependent clauses and independent clauses. Here's one sentence to help us examine both types of clauses. Because your order shipped early, it was delivered yesterday. A dependent clause cannot stand alone as a complete sentence. This is the dependent clause. Notice that if I could lift this part of the sentence from the other part, it would not stand alone as a complete sentence. Because your order shipped early. On the other hand, an independent clause can stand alone if pulled from the sentence. It was delivered yesterday. Now, these are called independent clauses because independent of everything else, it can stand alone. All sentence patterns, simple, compound, complex, and compound complex, include at least one independent clause. This is because a sentence, by virtue of its name, must consist of at least a subject, a verb, and a predicate, which is true of an independent clause. Now, in order to combine words, phrases, or clauses, a conjunction is usually required. A conjunction is a part of speech that connects related words or word groups. There are three types of conjunctions: coordinating conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions, and correlative conjunctions. Let's discuss each of these. We'll discuss coordinating conjunctions in greater detail in our mechanics module when we study comma usage, but I want to touch on the basics in this lesson. Coordinating conjunctions, just as the word indicates, coordinate or join similar words or groups of words together, coordinating. To remember the 7 coordinating conjunctions, use the acronym FANBOYS: for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. First function of coordinating conjunctions is joining two or more words, such as nouns, adjectives, adverbs, and verbs. In these examples, the coordinating conjunction and is in bold text, and the words that the word and combines are underlined. Coordinating conjunctions can also be used to join whole phrases, such as prepositional phrases. This morning, we walked on the beach and under the pier. Once again, the coordinating conjunction is in bold, and the prepositional phrases that it combines are underlined: on the beach, under the pier. And here's another. The extra t-shirts are in the stockroom or beneath the counter. Finally, coordinating conjunctions can join two or more independent clauses to form a compound sentence. Remember, a compound sentence is a sentence pattern in which two independent clauses are connected by a comma and a coordinating conjunction. The pool was large enough, but the spoiled children were still not happy. In this example, the independent clause, the pool was large enough, is joined to the independent clause, the spoiled children were still not happy, by the coordinating conjunction, but. Let's look at another example of two independent clauses connected by a comma. He was too large to fit between the posts, so he hopped the fence. In this example, the independent clause, he was too large to fit between the posts, is joined to the independent clause, he hopped the fence, with the coordinating conjunction, so. Let's look at one more example of the use of independent clauses and a coordinating conjunction to form a compound sentence. Only this time, we'll use a coordinating conjunction that requires a bit more explanation. The word nor. He did not know about the importance of forgiving his mother, nor did he care. In this one, do you see that the second clause, did he care, is not an independent clause? In other words, it's really not a sentence as it is. So how, you might ask, could this be a compound sentence? Well, when we use the word nor as a coordinating conjunction, the second clause includes a subject and a verb, but by necessity, they're reversed. In this one, did he care? It's did, verb, he, subject, care. Now, if we invert the subject and verb, it becomes did he care, which is an independent clause. This changes the sentence to something to the effect of, he did not know about the importance of forgiving his mother. He cared not. While it's true that these two independent clauses used as separate sentences work grammatically, in other words, they're fine as they are as two separate sentences, they just don't have the same effect as the compound sentence above them. He did not know about the importance of forgiving his mother, nor did he care. In this one, by using the coordinating conjunction nor, there's an implied emphasis on the uncaring attitude of the subject. It's not quite so clear when we instead use two sentences. Remember, a conjunction is a part of speech that connects related words or word groups. We looked at the coordinating conjunction. Now let's take a close look at the subordinating conjunction. A subordinating conjunction introduces dependent clauses. A dependent clause is a word group that contains a subject and a verb, but does not express a complete thought. In other words, it's not a complete sentence. Dependent clauses cannot stand on their own. In other words, if you pull a dependent clause from the sentence within which it's found, unlike an independent clause, it doesn't contain all the elements necessary to stand on its own as a complete sentence. So, they need to be connected to a complete sentence by a subordinate conjunction. And when a dependent clause is connected to an independent clause in this way, with a subordinate conjunction, it's called a complex sentence. Here are some of the most common subordinating conjunctions. Even though it rained, we had a good turnout that day. Sarah stayed up working on the project until she couldn't keep her eyes open. And here's another. Once the auditions are finished, we'll decide on the cast of the play. Now, in these examples of complex sentences, the dependent clause is used to add meaning and clarify, a clarity, I should say, to the rest of the sentence. And something to note, too, is when a dependent clause precedes or comes before an independent clause, a comma follows. We see this in our first and our third examples. Here's an example of a compound complex sentence with a dependent clause underlined. Even though I was sick, I went to the store, and I stopped by my friend's house. In this compound complex sentence, the subordinating conjunction even though connects the dependent clause to the compound sentence. I went to the store and I stopped by my friend's house. Compound complex sentences. We've looked at both coordinating and subordinating conjunctions. Let's finish with a short discussion about what's called correlative conjunctions. Correlative conjunctions are similar to coordinating conjunctions. They both connect two or more words or word groups of equal importance. Correlative conjunctions, however, always appear in pairs, as seen here. Let's take a look at a few examples. Both the collie and the retriever were nominated for Best of Breed award. We can ship your order to either your home or your local retailer. That claim is neither valid nor relevant to this debate. Whether traveling for work or sitting on your couch, you can access music easily. It's important to keep subject-verb agreement in mind when using correlative conjunctions. When using both/and to join subjects in a sentence, make sure you use a plural verb. Here's an example. Both the kitchen and the bathroom are renovated. Here, the correlative conjunctions create a compound subject that needs are as the verb. That's the plural form of the verb is. When using the either/or option to join subjects in a sentence, make sure the verb agrees with the subject closest to it. Example, either my parents or my boyfriend is getting me that book for my birthday. In this example, boyfriend is the part of the subject that's closest to the verb is. So it needs the singular verb is, right? It's the one that's closest to what will be the verb. And in this case, because it's a singular boyfriend, we want to make sure that we use is and not are. Here's another. Either my girlfriend or my parents are getting me that book for my birthday. In this case, parents is closest to the verb, so it needs to be the plural verb are. Like conjunctions, conjunctive adverbs are used to show comparison, contrast, sequence, and other relationships between clauses. Here's a list of commonly used conjunctive adverbs. Recall that a coordinating conjunction and a comma can connect two independent clauses to form a compound sentence. It's what we talked about at the opening of this lesson. But as an alternate, two closely related independent clauses can be connected simply by a semicolon. Example, you've worked hard for this. You should run the marathon. There are two independent clauses. And these two closely related sentences can be combined simply by using a semicolon like this. And here's another example. It's important to emphasize that in order to do this, the independent clauses, otherwise known as sentences, must be closely related. It's not correct to combine just any old independent clauses with a semicolon. For example, we wouldn't want to combine these two sentences with a semicolon since they aren't closely related. The general rule is, when in doubt, keep the sentences separate. If you have to wonder if the two sentences are closely related, don't use a semicolon. Simply keep them two sentences separate from one another. To emphasize the relationship between the two clauses, a conjunctive adverb can be inserted after the semicolon. You've worked hard for this, semicolon. Indeed, comma, you should run the marathon. Here's another. Stephanie hadn't eaten since breakfast. Consequently, she felt very weak at practice. Notice that when a conjunctive adverb is used after a semicolon to join independent clauses, it should be followed by a comma. Also, it's not considered a new sentence, and so do not capitalize the first word of the second independent clause. In this lesson, we learned about the formation of these sentence structures with the following components: related words and clauses, coordinating conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions, correlative conjunctions, and conjunctive adverbs. Thanks for listening.